Mr. Cooper, Queens.
Morning, Commissioners. I've got just a few things on the list. The first one is the EMS. To let you know that Jared has resigned. Will be a great loss. It was a great recruit to get him here. He brought a lot of certifications that we haven't had in this county previously. He has agreed to stay on in a PRN capacity for training of our staff on a periodic basis as we need him once or twice a year. Since his resignation, I have spent time with him and some of his staff, and I can tell you that we have an interim plan to move forward that is budget neutral. It will maintain the current level of service, meaning that the 3 full-time ambulances and a paramedic in the chase vehicle, that'll all be maintained. That's where we're at with that. I'm sorry to see Jared go. He made a lot of improvements over the last 10 months, but that's where we're at. I'm going to mention just briefly where we're at with finances, and John can talk to you a little bit more about any detail you might want, but finances from a revenue standpoint, a revenue and collection standpoint, the collections are still strong. As a matter of fact, if October continues at its current pace, we will have hit $400,000 in our patient collections, not subsidies, but patient collections for 3 out of the last 4 months. To put that in perspective, in the last 18 months prior, there was 1 month of $400,000 collections. So the collection portion of the new computer system, it would appear that it's working correctly at this point. The meaningful use money did come in. We also did catch up on several other payments that we had fallen behind with over the last several months. So you'll note in your financials there is 23 days cash on hand. As we sit here today, I think it's actually more than that. Beyond that, the reason that I requested to come to the second meeting this month was so that I would have a report on where TMH is at this current time. And last Friday, TMH and Alliant did meet. I was present. And I'm happy it was a very positive meeting. Mark O'Brien once again indicated that his hope is to be in this community in a more meaningful way. I'm happy to report that Alliant and TMH did conceptually agree to a model between the two of them, which would satisfy both TMH and Alliant. Now the process from that point is to get that conceptual model on paper, which they will be doing, they're currently doing right now. It probably will take several weeks to get that ironed out. Once that's done, Mark will be pushing the county on what he needs from the county and what the county needs from Mark. And if all that goes well, this could come to fruition by mid-December. Maybe I'm being a little optimistic there. I don't know. At this point, though, I would like the commission's permission, as this progresses, I can tell you that there's a lot of legal stuff in here, in this agreement, because of the type of agreement it is, and I would like the permission to, once we get to that point, to have discussions with Mr. Schuler on, you know, what the county's response needs to be to these types of legal issues. Because frankly, I mean, the level that they're talking is beyond what I'm familiar with. So I would like to have those types of discussions with Mr. Schuler as it comes necessary.
Yeah, I'd like Mr. Schuler to look at everything you get it's brought down and him to go over it, or we'll know what's going on.
I'll make a motion that we direct the attorney to work with Mr. Cooper with a line in TMH to review these contracts before it's ever brought to the county.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. And I wanted to give you a little bit of the flavor of the discussion that was had last Friday between Alliant and TMH, and then also I want to reiterate once again to make you more familiar with Alliant. But it was made very clear by Mark O'Brien that he wanted to be, it was not going to be Alliant's show. It was going to be his show, and Alliant was going to work for him. That it was made very, very clear that he's not passing the buck off to anybody. He wants their input because of their expertise in rural health care and particularly cost-based reimbursement. So I want to make that clear. This is not him passing the buck. This is him looking for specialized help. And having said that, I know we've discussed Alliant in the past, but I want to give you, try to give you a little bit of history so that you have confidence in them the same as you have confidence in Mark and TMH. Alliant has been around since 1978. During that time, I think they've had 3 CEOs. I've had the privilege of knowing 2 of them. They have been as large as managing, I think, 32 hospitals, and currently I think they're around 20 or 22. Of all the hospitals that they have, all but 2 are critical access. They have a hospital in Twin Lakes, Kentucky, and a hospital in North Carolina that are non-critical access PPS hospitals. But even those hospitals are small. I think the largest one's like 60 or 70 beds. All they do, they're actually owned by Blue & Company, which is a, I believe, top 5 or top 10 accounting firm in the country now. And actually, one of the principals from Blue was at the meeting Friday. Over 70% of their business is in healthcare. So they bring a wealth of knowledge. And beyond that, they have also agreed to do our cost report this year at a considerable savings of what we've paid in the past. Rest assured, those people do know what they're doing. And it will make a good partnership between TMH and Alliant. The last thing on my list before I ask you for questions is I wanted to let you know that last week we had 7 members of Athena, which is our computer company. They were on site. We got many things, many of the bugs worked out. We also prioritized the high-level stuff that needed to be done, that couldn't be done on site. But a lot of the little nitpicky problems that we've been having were fixed last week, including our ability to produce financials. The year-end number that is in your packet today. I think came off the presses Friday. So that is, right now, it's a functional system, and it's going forward. It'll be tweaks and just to make it work better, but right now it is fully functional. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
I got a question for you.
Okay?
On the raises that you give, you said when you took the VMS's raises and other people's raises, that was in September the 1st, you told us you give, then you turn around and said you give them some raises in September the 30th.
No,
Now, hold on, let me finish. You said September the 1st, they got raises, but you turned around and you said all of it went into one package. How did that do two different times?
no, we gave one, all at once, it was September 1st. That was it.
Well, you told us it was September the 30th.
I don't recall saying that, but if I did, it was September 1st. There was only one set of raises that went in.
Hold on a minute. Sorry.
September 3rd was the first day of the payroll. That when they went in. Okay.
But you were trying to, you said, the paper that I had said that September the 1st, that they got it at the end of the month, that one you give the other raises.
We gave them all at the same time. They all went in at the same time.
I'm confused because it was two different, I mean.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, remember when we took up the subject of the raises, Attorney Schuler asked us what effective date did we want to go back to? We said September 30th, as of September 30th. Well, they got the raises on September 1st or September 3rd.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So he went back and he took them from September 1st, September 3rd, whatever the date you said it is. He didn't take it from September 3rd, because 30th, because we were told the raises didn't go into effect. The raises didn't go into effect until October. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But in fact, they went into effect the first part of September. So it's a little bit confusing. We're told a lot of things.
And I got it, like the VMS workers you got out there now, they was cut back to $9.79 when you took the raises. The ones that start are starting from 10 to 10.50 an hour, just starting. You got the ones that's been there 4, 5, 6 years, only get $9.79 an hour right now. But why didn't you put them at the level of 10.50 as what your start out pay was?
You told us to take that away. I mean,
But your start out pay is $10.50 an hour.
when we gave the raises, that's what the start-out pay would have been. And so people coming in after that, that's what they would have started at. But you told us to take the raises away, so we did, which moved people that would have been here longer back behind them.
But we was told two different on the raises, one like September 1st and September the 30th.
That, if we had an EMT that was, been here for however many years, okay, we gave them raises, 9.1, 9.3, whatever it was, moved them up, okay? Then somebody came in behind them, that was not a raise, that was their initial salary at $10.50. That was their initial salary. Then you told us to take the EMT back to where they were at 9.1.
Yeah, but what I was told was that they got theirs on the 1st, then the next raise you give was on the 30th.
I didn't give any additional raises.
There's two different sets of papers, that's what I'm trying to say.
There was one set of raises, one.
But we was told there was two at the time.
I don't know where that came from.
But when did you go to the board and ask for them raises? If you give them on the 3rd, did you ask them on the 3rd, could you give them raises? Or did you
I
ask them at the
believe
end of the
that they
month?
approved the raises in the August board meeting, as I recall.
What date, Mr. Cooper?
I believe it was the August board meeting.
Oh, okay. August.
They approved the raises in the August board meeting to go into effect the next payroll.
So I was confused because we didn't get told all of that. We got told two or three different stories.
Let me see if I can help. When the board did a records request for the salaries, the board was given a spreadsheet. On the final column of that spreadsheet, it said, salaries approved for October of 2015. That's what started the confusion, because based on that, the board thinks that the raises were given on October 15th that began the new fiscal year. So the instruction they gave Attorney Schuler was based on that information.
Right.
So that's why it appears it was two different sets of raises. At one point, EMS got a raise on the beginning of September of 2015, and the other raises were in October of 2015, based on that, the column heading on that spreadsheet. The problem seems to be, it was all one raise that was given in September of 2015, not in fact October of 2015 that the spreadsheet said.
Why was the
That's-
spreadsheet done like that?
That I
then?
could not, that I did not create a spreadsheet, Commissioner, so I cannot explain. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to
because I wasn't
clarify
wanting,
why
I
there's
wasn't
some
wanting
confusion.
the little fellas, the little old bitty raises pulled. I was going on the big 10, 12, 14, 15, $25,000 raises is what I was looking at. Wasn't looking at the little fellas at 10, 10, 50, 11, 75 an hour.
Well,
I wasn't looking at that.
I understand also,
But I'm
Commissioner.
told they got theirs earlier on than the others got theirs later on, was what we had on the spreadsheet.
Yes.
That's why we went back to September 30th.
That's the reason we went back to September
Exactly,
30th.
that's
We
what-
went back to September 30th because of information that you got from the spreadsheet that you
Yes.
got. That's why,
That's what caused the confusion.
Right.
But
But
what Mr.
Commissioners-
Cooper is saying is basically, whatever the date said, it was all one raise. Everybody got raised on the same board, Weems board approval, is I think is what he's trying to say. So,
And I did want to say, when Mr. Schuler sent me the letter, it said, I believe, 9:30 or 10:01 to take it back to that point. But I knew what your intention was, so I took it back to 9:01.
My intention was not to get the little fellas, it was these big raises we give out across the
The
board.
intention that the letter said, all raises.
Yeah, but we wasn't told that they got them in that length of time. They got theirs earlier and you got y'all's later. That's the way the
they thought
spreadsheet put
the
it.
board thought there were, if I can speak, there were two
Yeah.
separate sets of raises. That's where the confusion is right now.
Right.
there was
And
a spreadsheet.
yeah, that's why we are where we are right now.
Right, the spreadsheet put two different raises.
Well, it gives you the impression that.
Pressure, two different raises.
Yeah, the column said, Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Chairman, I thought there was discussion about eliminating the high raises, but then advice of council was that you couldn't do that. And so that's why the motion was made to eliminate all the raises, as I recall.
At that point, that we had it, the spreadsheet was give two different raises. The little ones, there was some more other raises give with theirs, but not the September 1st. Well, we said we got them aside the September 30th.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I might,
Yes, sir.
what I would like to see happen as it relates to this is to direct Mr. Cooper to go back and reassess these raises, whatever, but reassess them not to the point of what the national survey says or all. Reassess it to the point that what the hospital can afford to pay. I think that was a big contention from the public when all this went out in public, was how can the hospital afford this when they keep coming back to the commission trying to get money for payroll out of the healthcare trust fund? So I would like to see, and I'm gonna make a motion, whether I get a second or not, I don't know, that Mr. Cooper go back and look and reassess. And I know there's national surveys out there, and if we were flush with cash, we could go with that. I just don't think that our hospital, with us trying to look at a new facility and doing other things to generate more funds that would allow different things to happen, is to go back and look at it, you know, from a real perspective as to what the hospital can afford. 50 cents an hour raise, I don't see there's a problem with that. It's the bigger stuff that really got the public upset, that really caused a firestorm for the commissioners, which pushed us into a mode where we had to take action. I mean, we're trying to build a new facility here to generate more funds where we can afford to do some things and make some changes and upgrade equipment and do some of this other stuff, but, you know, I just don't feel like that we're at that point right now. You know, you get a new facility, if we decide to go that way and the revenues increase, then we can look at doing some other things. As it relates, I got some other issues here too. Can I get a second on that motion?
I'm a second, I got some discussion. too.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and vote on this.
I want to discuss.
Okay, go ahead.
He wants to discuss.
Yeah, on these raises, it was, on these raises, it was, I didn't like the way they went down. I mean, you know, it just don't look right for people to get, for that much different to being a raise, I put it that way.
Amen.
I mean, you going from $25,000 to 14 cents. And it's too much discretion in there. It's too much, and it don't need to be. And I know the lawyer told us that we had to take them all back to do it right. And the way, I didn't want to do that because I know that was hurting the little person. But we had to do this, but I want them to get their money back. And then, on the same token, while you're looking at raises, I want it across the board for everybody. You know, if you're gonna get them 50 cents, y'all get 50 cents. If they get $1, y'all get $1. I mean, you know, let's do this thing like the county do it. When you part of we at the county, when we give a raise, we give one raise across the board. And that's the way I like to see y'all handling y'all business. I mean, it don't supposed to be. I don't like the way it was done.
Commissioner, let me just say this. What has historically happened out there, and I'm going back probably 10 years, is, well, let's just limit it to 4 years. They had not gotten any raises. But what had happened is, let's say there was a nurse that had been there 10 years and not gotten any raises. Well, when they were bringing new nurses in, they were having to pay new nurses at a higher rate because the market had moved even though they hadn't gotten raises. So the intent of that entire increase system was to get rid of all those things that you've just said, where we've got EMTs that have been here for 10 years with the same amount of experience, making less money than the people that are coming in the door now. That was the whole intent of doing that. You know, there was, you can say what you want about the big raises. That's what the market said to do, but, you know, I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing for the smaller, the ones where we have nurses, where we have EMTs, where I have multiple radiology techs or multiple lab techs. There were so many inequities and compression issues. That was the whole reason behind the way we did that raise. It was not to do anything other than to correct those things. So that's what I would like to do, and I can change the model if you want me to change the model. But instead of just giving everybody 50 cents, if you've got an inequity where an EMT has been here 10 years making less than the new EMT, giving everybody the same money doesn't fix that. And so that's what I want to fix, is to make it fair for those people that have been here longer.
Well, I understand that. You see, maybe, I'm a commissioner, I'm not a hospital administrator. And I see where you're going, but you just had bad timing. I mean, the timing wasn't right.
Well, I don't disagree with you.
And then, another thing is, I've been sitting here 12 years, and I done seen 5 or 6 CEOs, and I have never seen this happen. With the skill the one you sit up here,
Well,
it just haven't happened.
all I can say is that's why I'm dealing with this, because nobody dealt with it before me.
I understand that, if I might, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I understand all that, Mike, and I understand what you're trying to do. But the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, so it's gonna be hard for us to rectify the situation all at one time. What I'm saying is, go back and reassess, but you gotta reassess in the amount of revenues that's coming into that hospital. And you cannot straighten all this up in one little shot. You're gonna have to do the best you can with what you got to work with from a business model. You can't overextend your revenues, and I felt like that's where we were headed, and that puts the whole organization in danger, in my opinion. I support the hospital, and I want to see the employees get a raise here or there, just like we do with our county, as you can afford it, and as the revenues will allow you to do that. I just don't think you can do it all at one time and put the whole organization in danger. Then you're not only going to get a raise, you put the organization in danger, you ain't even going to get a paycheck. So we have to do it methodically under the constraints that we have and try to move forward. And there's all these employees are appreciated by the public. They're appreciated by us. We understand where you're at, but we have to do it and do it the right way. And right now, I feel like all the heat's on the commission because we took back raises. We didn't have no choice because the total of the raises was so astronomical because you're trying to rectify the situation. I understand that. We run into that with our own county employees. We got county employees that started 12 years ago at 20 grand. Now the new ones come in at 25. But we can't go back. I mean, how far do we want to go back with county employees? You want to go back to the 1930s when they started at 12,000 and try to bring them? You can't do that. We can only move forward. We can't go back. We can only move forward and try to create the equity or the quality that you're talking about. I understand. But we can't overspend our expenditures cannot exceed our revenues. I mean, anybody that's run a business knows that. If you do, you put the whole organization, or in a business world, you put the whole business at risk. And yeah, they may get a raise, but they may not get it for 4 or 5 months, and then they ain't even gonna get a paycheck. So let's go back. My motion was trying to clarify is go back and reassess and see exactly what you think that hospital can afford. And I don't think it's what you had before. I think you put the whole organization at risk, and that's not what I want to see. I want to see people get what we can afford to provide to them, but not put the organization at a risk, because then you're putting their whole paycheck at a risk and your future paychecks at a risk. And that's all I was trying to say. I'm not trying to micromanage. I run a business, and I know I can't expend more money than I'm taking in, because if you do, the business is going to close. And I think the organization that we're discussing here this morning will be the same way. It has to be in a manner that we can afford it and progress as revenues come in and we start building up, delivering more services, you get more clients to the hospital, you increase your revenues, then you can look at some of these other things and adjust accordingly, but you can never outspend your revenues, and that concerns me, especially and it concerns the board, I'm sure. I can't speak for the board, but, as we've seen payments stall from the federal government and all this stuff that we've been going through, I know we're owed money, but we can't collect it right now, and that gets back to I'll go ahead and say this because I don't look like we're going to take a vote on this motion anytime soon. Alliant, from the research I've done, is operating all these hospitals, and they're not going under. That tells me that they got a way of billing and collecting. They have support, they have network, and we're a standalone hospital. So I've done a little bit of research on Alliant, and quite frankly, the research speaks for Alliant. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Can I respond, Commissioner?
Yes.
I just wanted to tell you, what Alliant does well is not necessarily the billing and collecting. What they do well is two-pronged. Number one, they are cost report experts. They've got a whole department of people that does nothing but cost reports. Where we're getting one cost report a year, they will do 4 for every one of their facilities. And they maximize what goes into that cost report. That's not what John and I do. We know about the cost report. We know how to, in grand scope of things, to make it work. But when they get to work on it, I mean, it's like hiring a group of CPAs to make sure your tax return optimizes what your return's going to be. That's the first thing they do. The second thing they do is that they have a group of vendors that cater to critical access hospitals. For instance, and you've heard me talk about this a couple times, outpatient geriatric psych. Commissioner Sanders, this is the program that I told you will lose money, but we'll make money on it. And I think that's, it's very difficult to get your hands around that, but it's absolutely true. You lose money on the service, but the hospital as a whole makes money. There's a program called 340B, which is a pharmacy program. These guys, Alliant has vendors that come in and implement those in your hospital. And they're all designed to maximize money that comes out of the cost report and/or additional lines of revenue. And I could go on about the other vendors that they have, but that's how they impact the hospital. The actual billing and collecting, we'll still do that the way we're doing it. And I can tell you it's doing very well right now. We're actually collecting at a higher percentage than we've ever collected. But that's how they impact the financials of an organization.